Hi, my name is Barbara Schluraff. I'm the broker of Century 21 Ocean and team lead for Ocean to River Properties team. And I'm here with my friend Jenny Pruitt, who is the executive director of Freedom Fighters. Jenny, would you tell us a little bit about your organization?
Sure. So we're a local organization, grassroots, that our mission is to ignite an army to end human exploitation through prevention, response, and recovery initiatives.
Awesome. So Jenny introduced me to this concept or this problem. I didn't realize how huge it was, and I've gotten involved. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you got involved with the organization, or what prompted you to start it?
Right. So yeah, it was really grassroots. So I owned and operated Juice and Java Cafe here in Cocoa Beach for 13 years. And it was during that time that I had an employee who introduced me to a documentary by Exodus Cry. It was called Nefarious Merchant of Souls. And he just really felt like, strongly that I needed to watch the video. And so he gave it to me, and basically it took you through what human trafficking looks like throughout the world. And I just had an idea in my mind of what I thought, and I thought it didn't really happen here. It wasn't close to home. And watching the documentary, it ended in the United States and it ended in Las Vegas with prostitution. And the cafe has been right across the street from a strip club for years, and I watched girls coming in and out of there for many years and being dropped off, and knowing that it was more than just a strip club. But watching that video really convicted my heart of judgment of what I thought it was, and that I thought the women that were working in the sex industry had a choice. And I had no idea that 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 3 boys are sexually molested when they're young by someone they know and trust. And so those choices are stolen, and that really creates the vulnerability that leads women and men into the sex industry. It's through that vulnerability that's preyed upon.
Human trafficking is very complicated. It's very widespread, and there are a lot of different forms of human trafficking. So Jenny, can you explain to us what are the forms of human trafficking?
Sure. So human trafficking is basically the commercial profit of someone else's efforts, right? And the part that I think we as Americans conceive in our brain is that when we think of human trafficking, we think of someone being chained, held against their will, and we forget the other part of the definition, which is led through psychological and physical. So the coercion and what we call grooming is what oftentimes is very common, leading someone into being exploited. And we have, I think, culturally not understood that completely. So we think that, well, they have a choice, they can walk away. Why didn't you run? Why didn't you get away? And it's very similar to like a domestic abuse, where someone is groomed psychologically, and before they're ever sold, this whole process of grooming happens to them.
So different forms of trafficking would be prostitution, sex trade,
labor trafficking.
Mm-hmm. Very widespread. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you seeing trends globally or locally?
Yeah, so one thing that we've learned probably in this last year is a lot of times from a global standpoint is when you're getting scammed constantly on your phone, calling, text messages, emails, fake emails and stuff. And oftentimes those are from people who are being trafficked. So they get lured into job opportunities that you're going to make a lot of money, you're going to you're going to go here or there. They get picked up, they go to this secluded location, and their passports are taken away, their identities are taken away, and they're put in a room to scam us. And so that's from a labor trafficking aspect that's really growing. And then I would say, you know, like locally in the United States, trafficking is very difficult. It's growing, like Barbara said, it's very complicated, it's very complex, and it's expanding rapidly through internet. Now we have AI, so it doesn't happen mostly like we think it happens. Most people that are trafficked here in the United States are trafficked by someone that they know, someone that they trust, who's taken advantage of that vulnerability and begins to exploit them. And so we may think, how can that possibly happen, you know, to somebody? But it happens every day, and every community could be a step sibling, could be a parent. You know, how can someone traffic their child? Well, maybe they came from that kind of environment, and maybe they're supporting addictions. I mean, you just never know, but that is how most trafficking happens here.
So would you say that the internet is changing it positively and negatively, or what trends are you seeing with social media, the internet?
So I think it's really impacting it negatively, to be honest with you. So, you know, COVID expanded the social media reach tremendously. So kids weren't at school, adults weren't at work, and so you had this available all the time, and that's really when OnlyFans began to be really popular, and that's how you know, the exploitation just like went giant. And so now you have these, which really dangerous is you have the children with the gaming apps. So it's been all over the news, like Roblox, Snapchat, are very dangerous for children to be using unsupervised, because the predators are there. The predators come in through chats, and then they direct them to other private chat rooms where they begin to groom. They begin to form relationships. The child thinks they're in a relationship with somebody their age, not understanding that this is an adult that's getting ready to, you know, extort pictures of them. And then they get scared, and then they're psychologically, you know, through fear, through control.
Bribing.
Yeah, and it's just, it's really dangerous. And then now the latest is what they call AI undress. And, you know, if you have children or grandchildren, I cannot stress enough to not share the pictures of their faces on social media, anywhere online, because they can take those photos of that child and they put different bodies doing different things with the child's face, and that's child sexual abuse material, which then begins to be sold. And then once that's on the internet, whether it's real or fake, you know, I know there's been cases that are out there for people with lawsuits, but they never go away.
Well, it can create shame for the child.
Absolutely.
That may not understand
Absolutely.
how to handle that situation.
Absolutely. So you start to see a little bit. I have friends that I've noticed that are paying attention to the blocking out their faces, and I just couldn't stress that enough, the importance of that.
Great. So Jenny, can you tell us what are some of the common warning signs that parents or teachers, business owners should be aware of?
Sure. That
we can learn from?
You know, some of the warning signs is someone who changes drastically, right? A child, or a young adult whose behavior, somebody that used to be really outgoing, all of a sudden is very withdrawn, very secretive, very shut off, going in the bedroom, closing the door, not wanting to have that being watched, you know, interaction, downcast eyes, someone who's withdrawn. And for educators, you know, seeing that kind of behavior change is really red flags that Parents need to be notified, and then also, like the airline travel industry is that older guy, young kids, someone who feels, you get a sense that they're being controlled. And it's always better to go err on the side of, hey, it's probably nothing, but I'm going to report, versus, oh, I should have done that.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's not our job to get in the way of it, to be law enforcement. We don't want to get involved, but reporting it, and that's, who do you report it to? So the National Human Trafficking number is available, and then also if you see something like an emergency, obviously you're going to call 911 that's going on to interject. But non-emergency stuff, you could even call your local municipality non-emergency number, let them know what you've seen, then they have trained individuals within their force to handle it.
Florida is often mentioned, in the human trafficking arena. So why is that, Jenny? What is the issue?
We're number 3 in the country, and the reason why is because we are mostly a tourist transient state. Where we are here locally in Brevard County is definitely true, and that is we are an hour away from an international city in Orlando. We're a tourist location.
A port destination.
We have a port, we've got cruise ships, we have strip clubs. We have 3 within a very short distance. Those are all ingredients for sex trafficking. So in Orlando, Miami, Tampa Bay area, those are all, wherever you have that big population, is where you're gonna see the most of it. But with the internet, right? So the internet just broadens it. Like we see these things going on over in Polk County often. I mean, they're doing stings constantly, and a lot of it's online. Is they're finding predators that they're targeting online instead of actual, out in the streets, busting them. But
okay. And as far as resources, if you can't find who to call right away, contact one of us. I'll probably call Jenny, but
yeah. And then I call the people that I know, because every situation is a little bit different. It's not always a call the sheriff. It sometimes is calling the task force. It's calling my friends in Orlando, the United Abolitionists. They deal with this stuff all the time. Hey, I've got this person. How do I direct them appropriately? And so it's every case is different. So absolutely contact one of us, and we'll contact the right people.
Great, and just do it quickly. There are safe homes around for some of these victims. They can get them into. I'd like to hear about what your organization is doing now, or a success story that you have without revealing any privacy issues.
Sure.
In this.
So yeah, being careful about privacy. There is an individual that we were contacted through someone that I knew who was reaching out. Hey, this woman has been trafficked, but is currently in a domestic abuse situation and has nowhere to go, and how can you help? And so this was just like a friend-to-friend thing, right? And so we began to just keep track of, we found situations between her and I, there were solutions that we found of temporary housing and so on. And then learning that the psychological abuse and physical abuse was very, very deep rooted, a lot of trauma. I found through another friend a local counselor who specializes in that kind of trauma, and so we were able to connect them, and as an organization we began to pay for those services for her for counseling, which we continue to do. This has been three years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago. So we've continued to supply that resource, and the individual has made amazing strides, reached out to me now. She actually texts me. She has a very small business that she's been working at her home. So that is, that's amazing.
Exciting. Yeah.
You know, and that's what it's about, you know, trafficking is just so large and it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And you wonder, what can I do, you know, to make any difference in this when it feels like it's spiraling out of control. But just to help, to know that you've helped one person makes every single thing that we've ever done worth it.
And that hope is probably what sustains you too.
Yes.
Because it can be overwhelming.
Right.
You know, the more stories you hear and.
Yeah. And it has to be like the hope. We're not front lines, right? So we're not seeing those success stories on a day basis, right? We're not in those trenches. So sometimes it can be a little discouraging where we go, you know, we're doing all these things, we're having all these events, we're engaging all these people, but how is this really making a difference in the fight against trafficking or exploitation? But when you get an opportunity to see a survivor who we were part of, you know, I got to go
the journey.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go to Nepal a couple years ago, and we've supported Atlas Free for years, and I got to go see that the actual fruit of our labor and what we have sowed into. And so, you know, we say that when we run and we walk and we hike, we're doing that for someone we don't know, we probably will never meet in our entire life, but know that those efforts are fruitful.
Yeah.
And that gives us hope.
So my understanding, just to make sure I'm clear, and you clarify, your organization raises funds and awareness to connect the resources to the victims, to get them the rehabilitation, to get them the help.
Yeah.
So the hikes, the social media, all the things you're doing to raise awareness, or.
Right. So we do distributions to our partners. We've done a lot of work on our structure of our foundation over this last year, but it's also recognizing that we have a mission all in ourselves. Like, our mission is really to engage everyday people, because not everybody's going to be an advocate. Not everybody's going to be that counselor that's dealing on the front lines. But I truly believe that there's something that we can all do, and that is our mission of engaging people. And so that is our mission. That's our number one priority, is that engagement. And out of all that engagement is going to come all of the other things. It's going to come with other people saying,
trickle down.
Right, hey, I can do that. I am this. I work at this care center. I love that you're bringing awareness. You know, you're through prevention and education. And that's the number one priority, and then being able to take the fruit of that and to sow that into some organizations that we
And they can educate their
absolutely
people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to talk about the Seaside Stride that's coming up. This is a beach walk. It's a 10 to 20 mile choice of how long you want to walk on the beach. April 11th, we start first thing in the morning. Typically it's near a lower tide. We, from Port Canaveral, turn around Cocoa Beach somewhere. And the reason I started talking to Jenny about a walk here in Brevard County, because I was doing hikes with her. That's how I first became aware of human trafficking, really, as a bigger issue. Jenny invited me on a hike, and selfishly I was like, hiking, I love hiking. And I like a good challenge and endurance, and so I started signing up for these one-day hikes, originally I think through Atlas Free, and did some hikes, and they were amazing. And then I just kept hearing tidbits of more information about human trafficking, and was blown away about how horrifically widespread it is and prevalent on so many different levels. But the hikes, they do take a lot more time, training, and financial obligation from you as a hiker, and then for the fundraising. So I said, why don't we do something here locally that's doesn't have elevation gain, that more people might be able to join in on. Jenny helped create Seaside Stride, and here we are.
What a great event.
Yeah, it is a great event. We've had some beautiful days so far every time, and you want to talk a little bit about
it?
it?
It's a great event. So Barbara's just thought in her mind about the local community. So grateful for, because what that started really is a huge wave of what we've become, really. And Get Outdoors for Freedom. And exactly, like, you know, God uses things that we enjoy and our talents and things that we love to do. And He allows us to use it for His goodness, right? So same, I love the outdoors, I love to hike. That's what drew me in originally, you know, after the documentary, was an opportunity to go do an endurance hike. And I was like, yes, absolutely, for the cause that I'm passionate about. So, you know, I get to lead others into these outdoor events, and which is just such a blessing. But the Seaside Stride is something that, you know, we have a 5K in January. We just had it, like the Darkness 5K.
Awesome.
And the Seaside Stride is just another notch up, right? So a 5K is something that most everybody can do. You can walk, you know, run, but then the Seaside Stride, it adds a little bit more of the endurance level to it, like what we're used to when we're hiking. So it steps it up another notch to say, I can do hard things for someone else that's enduring hard things. And so we can identify with, especially if you're going to choose the 20 mile, you know, it's not so easy to go out and walk 20 miles on the sand, you know, in a day, and half a day or whatever. But even 10 miles can be super challenging for some people. We're all at different fitness levels. So it's not a race, it's a community event that we get together and we get to use our voices, we get to use our legs, the things that God has given us, to stand out and say, I'm bringing awareness, I want to learn more about human trafficking, I want to do something toward the cause.
And so there's different ways to get involved. You can help sponsor, you could walk. If you need help walking, I think there's a couple people they could plug into for some training tips. If you're
we have a training. We actually have a training guide on our website on freedomfighter.org. If you go to our Get Outdoors for Freedom page and scroll down to the Seaside Stride, there's a PDF you can download that'll help you, whether you're doing the 10 mile or the 20 mile, to do some training to prepare for it. You shouldn't just go out and walk 10 miles if you haven't been doing anything. But it's our friends at Fish Flips allow us to host it there, and we're there for the, you know, start and finish, and going through Jenny Park and then on the beach itself. And it's just been really an amazing, wonderful event to bring awareness. Yeah,
it really is. And I've had people tell me that typically 5 miles would be a reach for them, but they train for that, and then they say, wow, I did 10 and it really, it wasn't that much, you know, it didn't kill them. So we really enjoyed it. And I think this year we'll be doing it during the air show, which I think is really cool, because we'll have
hopefully, you know, the air show starts at noon, and we may be off the beach by then, but it's still, you know, I think we'll still have that hype of the air show going on in that morning. But it's still time that you can participate and get back to where you're going to view the air show as well. So.
Or if you don't want to participate in the walk or as a business sponsor, you can volunteer, be at one of the stations. So reach out, we'd love to connect you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great event.
Yeah. All right. If you could, Jenny, give our audience one tip on how they could get involved, or a message about the organization.
So our call to action is RISE, and that really is about not to do nothing. You know, when we learn about things, and we get inundated with so much stuff, and we go on to the next big thing, and we leave something that could have been really important where it was, because we're on to the next drama, we're on to the next thing that the media has pulled us into. And this is a crisis that we need to stay in. We cannot ignore it. We need to rise, and we need to get involved. It doesn't matter. We're offering these Get Outdoor for Freedom events that most anybody can do, but it could be anything that you have, that you're good at, that you want to dedicate, a bake sale, whatever, and dedicate that to freedom. That's what this is about, because when we started the 5K in January, Human Trafficking Awareness Month, we need to have one of these in every county in the country. You know, and October is known for breast cancer awareness. Everything's pink, it's everywhere, and I'm not diminishing that at all, because the marketing of that has been great with education for breast cancer. That needs to be our model of how we move forward in human trafficking, because the key is prevention. And prevention has to come with the awareness of what it actually is, not what we think it is, face the truth about it, get educated, and then engage and rise.
Love it. And how can they find you? How can they find Freedom Fighters?
Freedomfighter.org, and right now on our main page is the Seaside Stride. You can learn more about our Get Outdoors for Freedom events on our tab at the top, Get Outdoors for Freedom, and it has all of our different events there. You can scroll down to the bottom. You can join our email list by joining the Army of Being a Freedom Fighter, and you'll begin to get our monthly newsletters, be connected to us. Follow us on social media. I am a Freedom Fighter on Facebook and Instagram, and YouTube. And we have a YouTube channel, which this is going to be on that, so we're excited about that.
Well, Jenny, thank you for inspiring me, getting me involved, and it's exciting to watch.
Thank you for your action.
Well, I'm just doing one little piece.
Yeah, but you know,
and I know you can too. So
it matters. Barbara is our event sponsor for the Seaside Stride, and it wouldn't happen without your efforts.
It's a team. It takes a village. So
yeah,
thank you.
It's an army.
Yes. All right. Thank you.